Football is rapidly approaching. With the winter and spring transfer portals now closed, we now have a good idea of how every team will look like. And with that, we can start to take a guess at who's going to be in the starting lineup and who will play. And I'm a Michigan fan, and of course I'm going to predict the Michigan defensive starting lineup. I did these types of videos a couple years ago and you guys seem to like them, so I'm going to do it again. And if you like this video, subscribe. I post sports stuff a lot. And without further ado, let's get to the defensive line. Michigan last year went 8-5, and it's definitely not up to Michigan standards for first-year head coach Sharon Moore. But they ended the season with a freight train of momentum, beating Ohio State on the road and Maryland, and with a lot of returning players, especially on that defense, along with newcomers, they could try to contend for a national championship. And they'll try to do that mainly relying on their vaunted defense. The defensive line is up first. That's the first thing I'm going to talk about. And here's how I see that defense looking. Defensive end, Derek Moore is an obvious choice. 2 years ago, he flashed greatness, especially late in the season. While in 2024, he may have gotten outshined by the other defensive linemen on this team. And sure, he had 4 sacks when he had 8 sack potential. But he did miss some time with injury, and we still saw flashes of greatness with him, especially with his multi-sack game against Alabama in the Rely Quest Bowl. Hopefully this season he finally puts it all together. I think he will be the defensive end number 1. Moving on, the opposite edge rusher of Derek Moore is, in my opinion, no doubt TJ Guy. TJ Guy wasn't really talked about that much last offseason, as he hadn't really done much in his Michigan tenure to really gain much talk. He exploded, though, this season, becoming one of the most productive players on that Michigan defensive line. He had 5.5 sacks and 7 tackles for loss and 32 total tackles, and the scary part is that he barely played compared to the other defensive linemen on the team. His snaps were taken up by Josiah Stewart and Derek Moore, yet he still contributed a good amount. I'm looking forward to a full season of him at edge. Defensive tackle is Rashawn Benny. I personally am not the biggest fan of him, especially considering the upside of the 2 transfers at this position, of which I will talk about later. But he has been here for a while, a few years at that, and brings good experience and a veteran presence at defensive tackle. He hasn't looked bad in his limited sample size, and 29 tackles isn't bad, and he could definitely be a formidable presence up the middle. He will most likely get his shot to prove himself this year, given the fact that this defensive line lost 2 first-round picks from last year at this position. But I wouldn't be too worried, because we have 2 newcomers at this position, both massive for Sharon Moore. I personally like Damon Payne better than Williams, because I like his size and the fact that he was a former 5-star. He was in Alabama for 3 years. While he saw a light amount of snaps, he had 15 tackles last year and has played in some big games for Alabama. I like how quickly he moves when he gets off his blockers and his use of hands to go along with his size. He sometimes gets swallowed up by blockers, but he's still highly acclaimed. He can definitely fix that. He was the 160th ranked player in the portal, which is why I was surprised to say the least that a few weeks later, Sharon went out and got himself another massive transfer tackle. This one was the 66th ranked player. Meet the large in size Trey Williams from Clemson. He is very highly acclaimed, and with his size and experience from Clemson, he could be the focal point of this defensive line and replace Kenneth Grant's production due to their similarities. Because he ranks so much higher in his experience and elite run-stopping ability, I'd have to think he barely gets the nod over Payne, though both should get playing time. At linebacker, we kind of have linebackers who could both be at the starting middle linebacker anywhere in the country. That's Juwan Barham and Ernest Hausman. Pretty self-explanatory. Hausman transferred from Nebraska to here a few years ago, stepped up, and had solid contributions his first year on that championship team. Even with the deep linebacker room, he started last year, and he was one of the most important players on that defense. Barham, a true linebacker who flies all over the field, very good in coverage. We saw that at Maryland. Came here, wasn't truly elite, but still borderline. He made a lot of tackles and had a good impact. Between the two, that's a lot of production. At cornerback number 1, Jair Hill is the only one of the players that we have returning who is a true primary cornerback. Highly rated at a high school, he played last year, held his own fairly well, made some plays. However, he did have his moments of big struggles, and he was very raw. I personally think he was unfairly thrusted in some situations, and that he will play better and improve more. He obviously has talent, I just think he needs to put it all together. Opposite of him is Zeke Berry. He slowly but gradually crept his way into more playing time last year, and he really shined. Towards the back end of the season, he was playing as well as just about anybody. He had key turnovers at the right time and played everywhere, almost like a Viper Jabril Peppers type. Highly rated 4-star recruit, his position at first was a strong safety. Due to his position needs, he took up more of a DB/slot corner type role. Though he will most likely play corner number 2 in this defense, slot could go to anyone. I really like Caleb Anderson out of Louisiana Monroe, a veteran guy who has decent size. We could learn a thing or two about how we waited to play Amir Hall last year, a transfer, and instead we played our young guys who struggled early on. But then we put in Hall and boom, he was outstanding. I like Caleb Anderson because of his experience, but we could see what we see out of a lot of young Michigan DBs a lot of the time, and slowly, gradually put them in the lineup, kind of like we did with Will Johnson. A guy I like that might do that is Sharon Earls, one of the top cornerbacks recruits in this previous recruiting class. He could be a day one impact type of player, and Jerome Moore has talked about him well, and I keep hearing buzz around him. Caleb Anderson is good, and you can't go wrong with him. 2 years ago, he had 23 tackles and an interception, and has some great moments like a pick six a few years ago. He's also 6'3", so he can move to cornerback number 2 while Zeke is the slot. But if Anderson underwhelms, I could see Earls taking up his spot. Most likely, Anderson will stick at slot, and Zeke and Jair Hill will keep doing their thing. At free safety is obviously Rod Moore, a potential first or second round pick last year before he chose to come back. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL in practice last year and missed the entire season, but he's arguably the best player on this defense. He's an elite ball hawk and makes tackles and made a few plays. Free safety is a no-brainer. Finishing off the starting defense is Arkansas transfer TJ Metcalf. He is probably one of the most productive defensive transfers we've gotten. Arkansas, he's a multi-year starter. He's a ball hawk, but he is also a guy who's involved in a lot of plays. He wasn't elite last year with Arkansas, but he brings production. It can't hurt to have more production, especially with some of those younger guys in the secondary. Him at strong safety will be good because I think he could play there even though he was mostly a free safety last year, because if I'm not mistaken, he has played a little bit of cornerback in the past. He get a lot of big plays on the ball, and he's more proven than a guy like Hillman, which I could see kind of Keon Sabb type role. But I'm really excited for him to get a lot of interceptions and get it on plays. Overall, this Michigan defense could be amazing. Defensive line got newcomers like Williams and Payne, along with returners like Derek Moore and TJ Guy. Linebackers, experience. Secondary, a bit of a question mark, but more experience. Got some guys coming back. But if you guys enjoyed, please subscribe. It really helps me continue to make videos for you guys. Like the video. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if I should do a Michigan offense.